This episode may contain strong language and adult themes. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whatever time you're watching us. It is the 22 Dropouts, your most famous, most watched rugby sort of chat show, podcast, whatever it may well be. It's 34 weeks and we still don't know what the fuck we're doing. So if you are out there in viewerland, please leave a message below the line. Tell us what we're supposed to do and we might read it one day. And we might act upon it. In the meantime, you can get in touch with us. Just look at the top of the screen. It's our social media channels that are never kept up to date, but one day they might be. So just check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search for @22 Dropouts. Now, last week we did our Rugby Against Cancer special, and we looked at certain examples of Movember. Now, viewers, brace yourselves, because I want you to just be aware of how Sam was last week. Okay, so here we go. Sam and Julian, I know you can't see him on the screen, but Julian's hiding behind his eyes. So in 3, 2, 1, click to Samuel. Hey, Sam. Sam, your mode is sort of shrunk a little bit from last week, bud.
Yeah. The makeup washed off, so yeah, it doesn't look quite as dark now. But yeah, it's coming in quite nice now.
Now, last week you had a little bit of a wardrobe malfunction that we didn't really spot.
Yeah, I know.
It made the final edit of the show, though, didn't it? Right?
Yeah, it did. Luckily, my daughter was recording and said several times, "Dad, put your skirt up."
It's not the only time somebody shouted to you, "Sam, pull your skirt up."
Yeah.
Usually it's Pete when he walks into his room on tour. Talking of which, Pete, how's your Movember going?
I had a shave this morning.
Good lad. Good lad. Got to look good for the girls, haven't you, mate? Never mind this Movember thing. You've got to be clean shaven for the girls.
It's not about that. It's just I seriously can't do it.
No.
It just.
And did you ever find out how old Mal was, by the way?
Well, no.
Sam is looking up.
You're genuinely not going to believe this, but she just came out of her bedroom door and went, "What the fuck?" Her eyes just went.
Mel was midweek saying, "Leave me the fuck alone."
Not surprised. Your reputation goes before you. She's coming. I can tell. Mel, come say hi.
Tom, meet my daughter.
Hello, Mel.
Oh, you're all shy tonight, are you?
No, I'm tired.
All right.
Oh, okay. Night then.
You look it.
No, I'm fucking tired, cheeky sods.
Tell me when she's out of earshot, will you?
She's out of earshot now, mate.
I don't believe you one little bit.
I thought she was going on holiday with that many bags under her eyes.
Oh.
Don't. Time out.
No, bring her on.
Are you coming or not?
I don't know what to say.
Right, hold on. The floor is yours.
I'll show you what a fucking fifer is if you keep going with that language.
Well, Pete, I've got to say, your look's out now.
Wait, did she say she was a fifer?
Aye, she's a fifer, aye.
I was a fifer.
I wish you can.
You weren't born in Fife, mate. She's a proper fifer.
Whereabouts in Fife was she born?
Kirkcaldy.
What? Kirkcaldy. The Ethiopians. If these lot don't know about, right, but the Ethiopians had a concert to raise money for everybody that's from Kirkcaldy because it's so poor.
Oh, it's class. Oh, you realise
Cheers, buddy. That was a good one. Cheers.
We're only 5 minutes in and I'm fucking crying already.
Right, hashtag Kirkcaldy fucking council. You know you're going to get felt up for this, right?
Oh dear me, boys. It's been so funny. We've only just started. I forgot to start the fucking stopwatch again, so we'll just make it up as we go along and decide when the break's going to be. Anyway, I couldn't be bothered to grow a mob, and I couldn't be bothered to have a shave this morning either. So that's why you get this shit face today, which is pretty much every day as well. Now, Julian, just remind us how your moustache is going. Yeah, okay, that'll do. That'll do. It's just the same as it always is. Pete, you're actually doing it. You're doing it slightly better than Sam too. Let's have a look at you both together. Let's see who can rock the mov.
I think you
the
meant
best
Phil.
out of these two. Come on, let's have a mov off.
Who?
He said
You,
Pete,
Sam,
Phil.
and Phil are the only two rocking the mobs. I think we should have some.
You said Pete.
You called
You
him
said
Pete.
Pete.
That's okay. Pete can try as well. But I reckon we should have some sultry 1970s German porn film background music.
Chicka
While you two
bow
show
bow.
off. Yeah, go on. Let's see it, boys. Rock your mob. You wait until we finished editing this.
Bow bow.
My name is Sam, and I've come to service your washing machine. Flop.
I don't think you should sit on the photocopier like that. You might break it.
Says Pete to every girl he meets.
Anywho, because this is turned into a fucking sex show, not a rugby show. Move on, Mike.
Hey, Tom, we warned you there was not going to be any rugby in this call.
Yeah.
No,
Tom,
no,
how
Tom.
are you?
He promises
enjoying
it
the
every
show.
week, and he promises it every week, and he always lets us down. Always lets us down. Every
Who
week.
does? Me do? I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
Why?
your
What do I
missus-
say?
Your missus says that once a month as well, and you always let her down too.
Mate, my missus wanted it once a month. I'd be
puncher.
fucking happy.
He's always ringing me.
So, Tom Reeves from Worcester Rugby Club, welcome to
Hello.
our really classy show.
The chaos has started.
What does it mean the chaos has started? He's clearly never watched this show before, has he? Because the chaos never ends.
Never ends.
It never ends. All the best shows, the ones we get the over 100 views for, they're all complete chaos. The ones where we try and do something, we get no viewers at all. That's because Sam doesn't publicise it on Facebook properly, you see. So, Tom,
Yes.
talent. So, look, I know you reached out to Tom May and a few others over the week that's just gone to say, help, how do we do some fundraising for our rugby club and grassroots rugby? So, tell us what the problem is. Give a big shout out to our 37 watchers. And see if they can all help you as well. And we'll clip this bit for you, and you can pop it on your social media page, and then we might get some more viewers.
Well, the idea, I think we've been talking about at Worcester Rugby Club, we've been pretty lucky. We've done all right through COVID, to be fair. We've got a very good committee, lots of volunteers that have kind of kept everything ticking over, but we've been looking at actually how to share learning. So a friend of mine, he's like a radio presenter, a freelance presenter as well. We've been talking through lockdown about doing podcasts and doing something we can. And
then you come on this show.
Yeah, to talk about it, publicise it. No, but we've been talking on Twitter, and the idea being that all grassroots clubs probably share and face the same kind of problems: how to raise money, how to keep people interested, all that kind of stuff. So we want to reach out to as many grassroots clubs as possible to share the knowledge, really, because we're not competing. You know, if you've got a rugby club in Arbroath and Worcester Rugby Club, if they do something amazing in Arbroath that we could do in Worcester and vice versa, then why not share the knowledge and make it all better for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just tell us, who's your radio DJ friend?
His name's Hursty, who's on various radio stations around the Midlands.
So from Worcester as well?
Yep. Well, originally from Cornwall, but residing in the Worcester area.
It must be a hotbed for radio DJs Because one of my very good friends also lives in Worcester. He's a DJ as well for the BBC and Independent. So, Foxy, John Fox, say hi to everybody. I know you're not here, but just wave at the.
I know Foxy.
When you
I know Foxy.
You know Foxy, do you?
Yeah, I work with Foxy.
I created a show with Foxy.
Did you?
Yeah, and I don't know if you know Giuliano. He's been
Yeah. I produced Foxy Giuliano for a little bit when they were leaving their job. I had to kind of help manage them out of the building.
No, I think the show I produced for them managed them out of a job.
Oh, okay.
We had a live show, but you tried doing a live show at the moment. But yeah, so Fox and Giuliano, big shout out to you from me and Tom. So Tom, where have you got with this show or podcast so far?
So far, we have got a couple of clubs in Wales, Currai. They've got a massive mini and junior section, started up a club there, mainly mini and juniors for an area of Cardiff that didn't have any representation, and that's done successfully very, very well. And one of the guys there was involved in the Hard Knocks programs on Sky and stuff as well in the charity. We've got a local netball team up in the Midlands.
Pete's found a new date.
Yeah. Ears pricked up then. They've started up a club in the Studley area, but they're now moving into providing netball teams for people with SEN stuff as well. And they've just about to start before COVID started, but they've got a huge amount of members ready to go. So again, what I'm involved in with is a mixed ability team at Worcester. So that's about people with disabilities and various forms of physical and learning disabilities or mental disabilities, everything from depression, anxiety, dyspraxia, dyslexia, fibromyalgia, and it's become a huge growth area of rugby.
Yeah, now we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail in a few minutes, but just talk to us about if people are watching now or use any of this crap as a trailer, how can people get involved with what you're trying to do to share ideas, share resources, share links, and even get involved on your podcast and show?
Yeah, so we're on Twitter. You can either get me through Worcester Rugby Club, so just look at Worcester Rugby Club on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or I'm at The Coach Tom on Twitter, and Hursty is at FM Hursty. So just drop us a line, get in touch. We're going to record a load of stuff we want just different sports as well. So not just rugby, it could be rugby league, football, tennis, squash. Anyone's got a grassroots club, anything at all, boxing, naked mud wrestling, whatever floats your boat.
With Christ, exactly. Look at Pete's eyes light up then.
Certain keywords there I'm seeing.
Naked.
Drop us a message on Twitter.
That's cool. Now, yeah, so we can get you through the social media pages, and we'll put those up for you as well. Now, you also talked about the Mixed Ability team. Now, as you know, I've had some experience working with Mixed Ability. In fact, a story we recounted with Tom earlier in the week was actually Worcester's Mixed Ability team. Just tell us a little bit more about Mixed Ability Rugby and how it's helped the club.
So Mixed Ability Rugby, the concept is that people of any ability, so mixed ability, so able-bodied guys and girls can play with other guys and girls who have a physical disability or learning disability, and it's very much a kind of catch-all at the club for bringing people back into rugby or into rugby from a complete standing start. So when I first got involved at Worcester Rugby Club, probably about 4 years ago now, they had a first team, which is always the focus of most clubs, and a second team when they could get enough lads together, and that was it. And for a size in the city of Worcester, the professional rugby team, they're literally over the road from us. That was pretty important. So Mixed Ability team now, we now have at Worcester Rugby Club, we have a first, a second, a third, a vet, a mixed ability, and again, inclusive side as well, and the women's senior team just started as well. So, and all of that, apart from the women's team, has come through Mixed Ability. So it's probably brought in 80 to 90 new players into the club, paying members, paying behind the bar, buying stash, hiring out the clubhouse, stuff like that. And Mixed Ability is a growing part of rugby, which is, I think, it's not really recognised by the RFU. Welsh Rugby Union have gone all in on it. The two oldest clubs in the world were in Swansea and Llanelli. There's now 8 clubs, I think, in Wales, and they've all started. Those 6 have started up in the last 2 years. In England, they were about 4 or 5. I think they're now more than a dozen. And it's just a great way for any kind of grassroots clubs to get just more guys and girls involved. We've got guys from 16 to 65. Some have got hearing aids, some are deaf, some have had heart attacks, shoulder reconstructions, ACL reconstructions. because it's a mixed contact. Some guys and girls who don't want to take contact with a bib or some kind of identification. It's limited to like a wrap tackle. And then the others who might be just wanting to lose weight in their 40s, 50s, been told by the doctor to shift some fat, or they're going to cark it. So they come along.
What do you mean 50s and told shift some fat? We've been told shift some fat since we were 32.
I was trying to be nice.
Well, we became referees.
So yeah, the jump to a lot of people to first, second team is too big. So this way means they're coming in, a lot of social, watching rugby at the clubhouse when we could, going on road trips to play games, going on weekends away and going on the lash and stuff as well. So it's just getting people back involved in the club, back involved in rugby, not just sofa fans, but they're out there playing, giving it the best shot, just having a laugh. The focus is on fun and enjoyment and inclusivity. So whatever their ability, people are doing it. And like I said, you've got guys with and girls with disabilities playing as well, which is the really amazing part. When you see them, they go from not being able to catch, pass, run, talk to anyone. When you start getting WhatsApp abuse from some of those guys, and they sidestepping people and scoring tries and stuff, that's the real big plus out of it. But getting more people into rugby is the ethos.
Yeah, exactly. And I've had, as you know, experience with these guys, and we'll talk a bit more about that right after this short break. We'll be back with you in a second.
Hang on, Mike. Hang on. I think that's by far the most rugby that's been talked on this show in 34 weeks.
Yeah, it is. But we're going to the break now that you've said that wonderful nugget, and then we'll come back and we'll actually talk a bit more about it.
There's more?
There's more!
The mixed ability rugby is really good. You mean you genuinely, the people involved in it, because I'm in contact with a couple of guys from the clan up in Scotland.
Good guys.
Yeah, they've Neil and that. They've asked me to take part in it because I've got a disability and stuff like that, and they want me to be a part of it or refereeing it or even playing. So in a way, being able to put on a Scottish jersey and put a thistle on my chest would be like an honour just to be part of it, and as well as being with the guys and whatnot. So we have been in contact over the last year or two, but just with obviously this year's completely out of
it's written off,
and other duties and things like that. Just struggle sometimes to get to do things, but I'd love to be a part of that. Was the clan, Tom, not one of the first ones to actually start up?
I think one of the two oldest are Llanelli, which I think have been going 25 years, then Swansea, then I think it's Bradford, and then I'm not sure after that, but I think their clan were up not long after that, I think, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, they were one of the oldest.
We had a referee's side who played against Bradford.
Yeah. Oh yeah, good bunch of lads.
And it was proper brutal. It was they ran it 100 miles an hour. You knew the ones that you had to go lightly with.
Yeah.
And you knew the ones that they were there to really, really hurt you.
When you need clear and concise match official communication systems, look no further than the brand new Axiwe AT350.
Radios are always useful, they always help us, especially the Axiwes, where all three of us can be open at any time, we can have open communication.
Available now from refcomsglobal.net. Investing profits into match official development worldwide.
So welcome back to part 2 of the 22 Dropouts, where we hashtag talk about rugby for a change. Welcome to Tom Reeves from Worcester Rugby Club again. Before the break, Tom was talking to us about all the work that they're doing down in the club to try and keep it going through the COVID crisis, and also their mixed ability team. Now, I think that actually there's a few of us on the show tonight who have had some experience of mixed ability. I was invited to referee a tournament in Derby where Tom's team were there, and I have never had so much fun in my life. It wasn't a full 15-a-side. We were trying out Ben Ryan's Rugby X, which was quite interesting. And it was absolutely wonderful. What I found was that you can talk to people and explain and adapt all the way through. So in one of the games, there was a chap who he was struggling with getting into ground after the ball had or he'd been choke tackled. he was held. He wasn't proper contact. And everybody from both sides and us as officials were encouraging him to go to floor. He was really getting quite upset because some of the others were stealing the ball. And we just said, listen, can we put a different coloured bib on him? And if he's tackled, standing up, if he's touched, everybody just moves away. Let him play the ball before we carry on. And every single person on that pitch just went, absolutely. Which is what I think, it's proper. It goes back to the roots of rugby. It goes back to that all-inclusive sport. Now, Tom, you've actually used it for guys who've come back from injury to get back into the bigger teams, and also people who've not played for 20 years.
Yeah, so we use it as a catch-all, really. Like I said, it's a great way for us as a club to get new members in. The jump from standing start or not having played for 5-10 years to first team, second team is too big. Skill-wise, physicality, they're just going to get smashed and end up just being back on the sofa, being a sofa fan. So we use it to up the skill and start again. So a lot of it's basic kids training. Like I said, we have a whole skill range from some guys who literally never picked up a ball, don't know the rules, ask what's a 9 and a 10, ask when don't know where to stand offside, onside, no idea.
We know some referees who do that as well.
Yeah, I didn't want to say.
They're on the show.
My lips are sealed. Hope you never understand. But then we have guys who come back from injuries. So I had a couple of serious injuries when I was younger, got glasses obviously, so I kind of play in like sports goggles, but I play to kind of help involve a lot of the guys and girls with disabilities as well, so to kind of facilitate. But we've had guys who come back from ACL, so they can't take contact at any time, but they can play in the mixed ability games. Then we've had some guys come back from minor injuries or broken legs and arms, stuff like that. So they might be first or second or third team players. They'll start back with their mixed ability, get their fitness back up. They also then can pass on knowledge. It's a great way of seeing them, facilitate and get to know the whole grassroots so that they can pass on their skills and help others. They step up the thirds again, and we just use it as a pathway back. So we've had one guy go all the way from mixed ability to the firsts, a handful go up to the seconds. Virtually our entire thirds team has come through the MA program. So it gives it a much more, connected path for the club as well.
Now, Sam,
well timed, Julian. Well timed.
We thought we were being really slick there. Sam had got a message on his screen to say he's coming in next, and it was going to be free flowing, until Julian bombed him completely and said, "Just bring Mel in." Just at the time that Sam was about to talk about mixed ability. Now, Sam, you've had some experience or some chats about mixed ability before, haven't you?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I'd saw basically through Facebook the mixed ability, the clan in Scotland, which I think the training originally it was in Edinburgh, and then they've expanded it to different areas. And they get quite a lot of regular games, usually like against sort of third 15 pub side or something like that, that kind of stuff. 4 legs is always better than 2 there, Pete. Anyway, so
Pete suddenly got better looking.
She's giving you more kisses than most girls will.
She uses her tongue more.
They proposed to me about coming up and getting involved, because obviously everybody knows in the rugby world that I'm involved in anyway, like Jules and Pete and all you guys know that I've got a partial disability, and although I a referee, my playing days were finished, sort of thing. So not that I was really ever a player, but you do what you do, and they said about being involved in that, and I'd love to genuinely be a part of it and do it. And this year was supposed to be a year that I'd do that. Then obviously COVID had other ideas, so I can't wait to be involved in it actually, because it'd be lovely to give something back to the game. That's brought me some wonderful times and wonderful memories, and grateful for. And at the same time, enjoy being amongst guys and that again, a part of a team, and just doing what you do and enjoying the game for what it is,
Oh, I think it's brilliant. Pete, you've managed to calm down the pooch.
Yeah, what's worrying is that the dog's always got a wet nose, which is more than enough.
What's worrying is the dog has got his number. The dog knows exactly what to do and when to do it, like that. Just as Pete's about to talk. Go on, Pete. What's the dog's name, Pete?
Nelly.
Nelly.
Not an Ellen.
Can Nelly come on every week instead of you?
If I shout walkies, will she go nuts?
No. No. She thinks it's somebody outside. Look. But anyway. Now.
Cat.
Right, she's calmed down. Just leave her alone, right?
That's what you say to all the girls.
Just chill out. She's just a puppy,
Pete.
right? It's because she wants attention, and I'm not giving her any. And it's because, you know. So I've got to be very careful because she's just got this bloody tongue that comes out of nowhere and just goes straight in the nose. See?
If anyone else said that, it would have been innocent, but it wasn't. Anybody else?
Yeah, it wasn't. If anybody else said that, it'd be about a dog.
Anyway, back to the subject. Is the what the Mixed Ability was doing is giving somebody else a chance at sport, and is opening more gateways for people. The one at Bradford that I played against with the West referees was really good fun. It was full contact. We knew the players to not be involved with, not to tackle, and we knew the players that really wanted to get stuck in, and it was a proper mixed ability. The rugby league that I play on a Sunday, I know it's a dirty word, but
Sunday.
So I play on a Sunday. It's like the Masters League over 35s, and they
Sunday's
have
not a dirty word.
And they have like a shorts thing. So if they wear a gold shorts, they're just allowed to be tagged. Yeah. If they wear a red shorts, they're not allowed to go to ground. And if they wear black shorts, it's full contact. And it goes in your age.
It's the same on the old boys tours around Europe. When you go on an old boys tour, if you see players in red or gold shorts, you know not to tackle them. And they're only allowed to run a certain distance before they have to pass, or you have to touch them instead of tackle them. So it's sounds very similar to old boys rugby, but letting everybody play instead of just over 35s.
Yeah. So no, it's all good. It's all really, really good. You know, you were saying about like what clubs in the area doing to raising money or raising the profile of the club and stuff like that. Okay, so clubs around here, one club has raised 25 grand, Stockton Rugby Club, right? But they've got like a massive section, you know, like they do massive girls section. They've got every child, and it's one of the England players is something to do with it as well. So, you know, they've got a good backing. And they've just raised in a few weeks like 25,000 to keep their club going.
Have they done that? What have they been involved in?
That's the thing. That's what we want to try and find out is to share these ideas. You know, if doing a raffle or what it doesn't, you know, whatever it is. And
then my club at the moment, our club, Marcus would be a really good lad to come on because he's that. And they do walk-in rugby on a Sunday for the oldies.
Yeah.
And that's popular. You know. They do a return to rugby, which is any player, any ability, not even played before, every Wednesday, and that basically makes up our third team.
Yeah,
and then
pretty much kind of what that is.
And they're trying to raise 10,000, and all they are doing is getting players or people involved in the club or committee men or anything like that is to wear the club top or wear a club shirt of some sort. And do like a 30-second video of what the club means to them, and then it goes on social media and goes on Twitter and all that lot. And they're doing really well, raising the money for it as well. And they've just got everybody to pay the subs, you know. So
yeah, it sounds a lot like what Wasps Legends did when all their fundraising was cancelled over since March. And over the summer, as you'll know if you watched our Wasps Legends show, that they used to challenge each other to do the Wasps drink, which is down the one, left-handed, touch with the glass and nominate somebody else. And every time somebody did that, they donated a small amount of money. And doing that, it you know, over 70,000 hits in one WhatsApp group. Absolutely phenomenal. What you can do, even if it just says like, do this, nominate somebody, and for every person you nominate, give £1 to your club. And you can be given, you know, as little as £1 or £2. But if 400 of you do that, or 600, and then their mates and everything else like that, and it comes in, it just snowballs, doesn't it? Phil, how do you think this would go, you know, mixed ability and stuff like that would go down in the States?
Well, as an example, under the Rugby Foundation, we have our adaptive sports program, right? But it's based around a physical disability that may be associated to a Paralympic sport. So it's not just rugby, right? So, you know, I know Julian was mentioning it earlier about the gold and red shorts. I'm somewhere in the purple, I think. However, those concepts are slowly gaining momentum. You know, you got to keep in mind, we don't have a very deep rugby history in the United States, right? So as far as communities go, you know, you don't have 2 or 3 generations. You may be working on your 2nd generation currently for the most part, right? So a lot of communities are just now trying to get some of the dads or moms who may have played years ago to get back into the swing of things and that kind of thing. But to that point, touch rugby is really starting to take off in the United States in itself. And one of the things, again, it does play into this whole mantra of just getting back into the game or getting involved in the game as a way of getting into the game. And it's going to be really, really important out of this whole COVID crap, because ultimately we need to get people back in the game. We need to get interested. They need to get part of a club. They need to start supporting, not only supporting the club, but they need to support the sponsors that are supporting the club. So it's kind of, it is a snowball effect, but it's also several layers. And I think if we look at how do we restart something and to improve engagement, I think what the program that you guys are talking about is one of those ways that's going to really appeal to a lot of the community that hasn't necessarily been exposed to it in the United States.
Do you know what? This, I think, would fit quite nicely into your Repatriate America program.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, Tom, you mentioned this, but I'd be really interested in knowing how this relates into other sports. You know, I'm glad you didn't mention soccer, aka football.
Well, I'll tell you what, Phil. The guy, or one of the guys who runs Mixed Ability Sport in the UK that I've done a bit of work for, I'll put him in touch with you, and we can see what we can do across that. Now, Sam, how would this go down in Malta, do you reckon?
Funnily enough that you asked me, I think
is that because you've just typed it on the screen so that I can do a seamless link for you?
Well, that's because you fucking asked, you complete and utter tit. That could have went really smoothly, but no, you had to fuck it up.
It wasn't going smoothly as soon as you said funny that.
Funny, you ask.
Go on, Gal.
Wanker.
Malta's national team is made up of them, aren't they?
What's that, mate?
Mixed ability. Malta's national team.
Yeah, Malta's first class team.
Not at all. Malta's national team is a very, very good side.
And so say all of us. Anyway, carry on.
About 6 months ago, one of the clubs here in Malta, Cavalieri Rugby Club, they came up with doing that sort of idea with the mixed ability and stuff, and they went out and started, doing some fact finding through the disability system that's out in Malta and with schools and things like that. And they actually, I think, they had their first meeting or something about it there. Where they had people actually turn up. Obviously, COVID's keeping the distance and things, and had some sort of meeting. So yeah, we're talking about.
That's great.
Trying to get something started. So it's always good news, isn't it? And then that at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about just getting anybody involved in the game, and that's what the game's always been about, isn't it?
Well, I think, I think over the last, 18 months, we've seen quite a transition as well from it not just all being about 15s. Last few years, we've seen 7s really coming to the fore. Then we've seen this Rugby X that came out as well, and now there's this big push, certainly in grassroots sport, and I think that will take off bigger. Yes, we've seen touch as well, touch which wasn't quite adopted in the same way over in England as it was in other nations. But now we've got mixed ability as well. There's actually quite a lot of ways you can get involved in rugby. And then there's that thing called league as well. But we don't like to talk about that like we don't like to talk about football or the Phil soccer. Anyway, after the break, go on, Sam. Go on, Sam's got another point.
Phil, can I just ask you a question, mate, actually? So although rugby's generally new in America and it hasn't got the same depth as what it has in Europe and stuff like that, but what you call football, does it have something like this?
No.
Nah.
The closest they come to it is, just a recreation football afternoon. Guys get together, girls get together, whatever the case would be is. So that's why I was asking about other sports, because in hockey, as an example, they have rec leagues. And they get people out there where there's no contact for the old guys that don't want to get hit and all that kind of stuff. So there's modifications to every sport. The one thing I was going to piggyback off of this is our mantra within the Rugby Foundation in itself, and building upon what's out there in the rugby community, is inclusion, not exclusion.
Yeah.
One of those ways of being inclusionary and expanding that inclusionary principle.
Yeah, and I think this is a really good way, particularly with a mixed ability, is bringing everybody. We've talked before, haven't we, a number of times about how you can take a soccer ball to the park and everybody can have a kick about. Actually, it's a lot more difficult when you've got an odd-shaped ball, which is something for last week's show. But all of these things that we do are a way of getting more and more people involved in the sport. And talking of the sport of rugby, after this short break, we're going to come back and we're going to actually talk about the rugby from the weekend. We'll see you right after this. Welcome back. Well, welcome to the first ever rugby show that is the 22 Dropouts. We are just a bunch of referees from all over the world. Some are here tonight, some aren't. We got together pre-lockdown or right at the beginning of lockdown to have a beer and talk some shit. And we talked rugby that day, and somebody decided it would make a great show. For the past 33 weeks, all we've been doing is rehearsing. Now we are live. We are here tonight. We are with our first show. We are with Tom Reeves from Worcester Rugby Club. And my God, he's turned us into a rugby show. Give this man a round of applause. I think he deserves it.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Thank
we
you,
needed
Tom.
something. Yeah, thank you very much, Tom. Now, guys, I'm not surprised. What I am is quite humbled by the way that this has touched many of us, this mixed ability sport, and I hope we can go on. We can get other people involved. We can really push mixed ability sport, not just in the rugby sense, but to other sports as well. And I'm sure Tom especially will agree that if we can do anything for mixed ability sport and to help grassroots clubs, just reach out to us. I would say reach out on our Facebook page, but because Sam doesn't update it often enough, that probably won't help. And definitely don't check us out on Twitter, because Tom hasn't been on for 4 or 5 weeks, and you know what teenagers are like. Now, being a rugby show, and I'm just going to go over here because we're not a professional rugby show, so I've got to look at this screen while I start the timer again, because I keep forgetting. Now, being a rugby show, there was some rugby. There was rugby at the weekend.
Amen.
Sam, did you? Well, there was rugby of a fashion, I suppose. Sam, did you manage to watch any of them on Amazon?
No.
So our plea last week to Amazon Prime Video to make sure it was available for you for this week in Malta fell on. It's either fallen on deaf ears or they haven't watched it yet.
It fell on deaf ears, and I had to use other forms of being able to watch the program.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. So you did watch it. So what did you think of the games this weekend?
Which one in
Hey
particular?
up, you're getting bombed again, mate. Right shoulder.
My halo. Come on then. Which game?
No, come. Tell us, what was your favourite game of the weekend? As if we could guess.
Did Wales play at the weekend? Oh yeah, well, they turned up and only put, what was it, 18 points.
The only
Georgia,
good
so
thing
they didn't really play.
Was Luke refereeing it.
Yeah.
It was a dull game, wasn't it?
It was.
He was really bright and sparky.
He was ace.
FYI,
Luke actually did really well.
Yeah, me too.
He did all right.
Luke had a good game. The rest of the players didn't.
Yeah.
It just sums up Wales are shit.
All right. There's a Welshman here. Chill out.
Yeah.
And then the best.
Welshman with a Cornish accent, Tom.
Then the best game of the weekend, which clearly wasn't Australia and Argentina because it was the best game. But best game of the weekend was Scotland and Hoggy missing that touch finder at the end.
No.
I'm sorry, but who the fuck throws a tail ball 5 meters out again? Oh my God. It's so frustrating to watch them play.
You're actually wrong,
like,
Sam.
what the fuck?
That wasn't the best game of the weekend.
I know.
England women.
Best game of the weekend was England-France women. Absolute fucking cracker.
Now, if you've still got nails after that game, there's a problem with you, because that was such a nail biter, and it was. Do you know what? I'm really sorry that France lost, but I'm really glad that England won as well, because nobody, I'll tell you that, in the last sort of 20-30 minutes, absolutely neither team deserved to lose that game. They put everything on the line. And when we watched the men, could we say that?
You saw Poppy fire over to score that try, and all I was thinking was, here we go. It's going to be Saracens Wasps all over again. One team's going to lead in the first half, and the other team's going to come back and just either nearly nab it or nab it. And if any team was going to win that at the end, it was going to be England, because they've got the kickers.
What a way to win it, though. What a way to win. In fact, talking to Wasps, did you see any of the Premiership this weekend, boys?
No.
Yeah.
No. If there is one game to watch at the weekend, it is definitely the Wasps game. So if BT Sport want to share that with the rest of the population, then feel free. We'd all like to.
Countries to you, mate.
Newcastle beat that.
BT Sports here.
Yeah, no, Newcastle come up from the Championship and
beat the champions.
What did they do?
They went away and they won at Bath.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, they
yeah, look at Sam.
To be honest, I like any team that goes to the wreck and wins.
Yeah, but Newcastle came up, and obviously the first game is against Bath. What didn't they? Weren't they like the champions or something like that?
Bath champions. Have you been taking drugs again?
Yeah, I'm off my tits, mate. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, Cocodamol and beer.
No beer, just coffee tonight.
Well, they lost to Ian like 2 weeks ago, didn't they?
Yeah,
well,
anyway, but Newcastle.
Let's be honest. Newcastle's a third Scottish team anyway, so you know.
They're the only one who play in a decent league, then, aren't they?
Yeah. Much better.
So, Pete, tell us about Newcastle so that Sam doesn't interrupt.
Yeah, Newcastle are all a bunch of young lads, and they're doing very well. They're playing out the skins. There's Adam Rwanda or Radwanda, I can't say something. Yeah, well, he's from the local club around here, Billingham, and he's obviously gone through the ranks and stuff, and they absolutely obviously adore him. But he's been scoring the tries and he's been heavily involved in it. He should get in England sometime. Johnny May needs to just step up a little bit.
Talking of England, do you not think of the weekend's performances away from England in the Premiership. Josh Bassett, probably one of the most underrated people not to play for England so far.
Absolutely.
Man, was he on fire, and he won that game in the end for Wasps. His step, his speed, and the way he pirouettes it's sublime.
You've got some scary back three options. As a Welshman looking at the English team, you've got people. Ashton. Yeah, I know he's getting on a bit now. We walk into most teams. There's Rocco Daguni. There's Thorley. He's just about in the squad, but he's not really touched it. Rory McConaughey. Who else? Who's the other Wasps wing? Kibarigi. And who's the other one I always think of? The Exeter wing used to be at Bath. What's his name?
Yeah, nobody cares. Clearly.
Yeah.
No. So, talking about Exeter, how did Worcester do at the weekend, Tom?
Won by a point.
Yay! Who were they playing?
London Irish.
And you only won by 1 point.
Yep. It's going to be our season again.
A win's a win. A win's a win.
Oh, absolutely. A win is always a win. We'll always take that, and the 4 points count. So, what was the game like? Did you watch it?
The Worcester game, I've not seen the highlights yet. I couldn't see it at the time. I watched the Wasps Bristol game, which I'm glad I did. I caught that. I haven't seen the Worcester game yet. It sounded like a bit of an arm wrestle.
Mind you, the Wasps Bristol game was a bit of an arm wrestle for quite a long period of the game, wasn't
but
it?
enthralling, though, wasn't it? He was nip and tuck. Two good sides.
And forwards. Yeah, absolutely. And there's I think Wasps are definitely missing Dan Robson. But Wasps' loss is England's game. I would have personally, I'd have started Robson last week against Georgia, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think he's cracking.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think that, and that's not because his dad's been on the show or anything. And used to be my rugby teacher. There's nothing in that. But I think Dan is a bright talent, a very bright one, and very, very, very keen mind. And I think that's what we need back from a 9 like we used to have with Dawson. Nobody agrees with me, clearly.
No, I think he's again
being
a Welshman looking in.
Other Englishman, and he's high on drugs at the moment.
Yeah, I don't see what.
Drugs.
Oh, well, that's okay then. I don't see what the fuss is about Ben Young's. He's solid, but when you've got Ben Spencer, you've got Dan Robson. I have no idea how Ben Spencer's not in that squad. I have no idea how Dan Robson isn't the second choice and hasn't been for the last 2-3 years.
No, absolutely. So how did we all fare? Let's go around then. So Tom and Julian, you guys are, well, Tom pretends to be Welsh with that accent. Julian,
been here for a long time.
Yeah,
I've got 2 passports now, so I can qualify as Swedish when I want to.
No, there we go.
Good lad. So out of 10, how would each of you rate the Wales performance this weekend?
A 4.
I'm going to give it a 6 just because it was a win. But still shit. I'm scared for when is it, next weekend, whatever it is. Scared.
-4 maybe.
No. But, there's positives. There's always
it's a bit like Strictly. This is one of you's got to be Shirley.
Some of the wingers have got a bit of pace, but they're too raw for that level right now, for international level, even against Georgia. The centres were trying to bosh it up again. The back row were trying to bosh it, but they weren't making any ground.
I just fail to understand at the moment what he's trying to do. I don't mind losing. Like when we were playing under Hansen, you could see what he was trying to do. I mean, he was trying to condition them. There was skill. There was a progression every now and again. You could see some beautiful tries, whatever. And I wouldn't mind losing if you could see the progression. But I have no idea what he's trying to achieve. No. He does that kind of crash ball Warren ball. So are we going back to that? And they talk about we're trying to upgrade the skills, but it's not like we've been offloaded or trying lots of stuff. Nothing's we can't defend. The scrum was better. That was probably a major plus point. The line out's still rickety. The breakdown. I mean, we used to have like 5,000 back rowers, but we're getting no go forward now. When you compare our pack to someone like South Africa or England now, it's a scary thought. We're static at best. We're not taking it at pace. I have no idea what he's trying to do. That's the scary part.
There's a lot of youngsters have come in as well who they don't seem to know what each other are doing.
No.
So there's loose balls flying everywhere. There's players are just they don't know where the person is coming from to pop the ball to if they want to offload. So nobody's trying anything. So they're playing that safe rugby, and it's there's nothing there. they're not going to win games doing that.
No, Sam,
there's one.
I don't know whether Sam, whether you've actually watched any of the Scotland game, but if you did, what did you think? And if you didn't, tell me what you expect to think.
Well, I already told you what I thought about the Scotland game.
No, this is strictly come rugby now. You've got to give them a score out of 10.
I've got to give a score out of 10 for Scotland. Well, they were in it to the end ish, so 6, 7.
Are you going 6 or 7, man?
Yeah, I'll go with 7 because it was better than Wales.
7.
I think you're being a bit harsh there, Sam. Really, because I watched the Scotland game, and I watched the French team, and the French are supposed to be like the #1 attacking team at the moment, and all this lot, right?
Yeah.
But Scotland were in there all the way, and they've competed in every single game that they've done so far. You know,
Yep.
and they had a 5-minute lax of concentration in when coming out in the second half that let France in a bit, and then Scotland, I reckon another 8 more minutes, Scotland would have won that game.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
or drew that game.
The problem, look at a South African referee, and that'll be it.
Stenny, the problem is, mate, is that Scotland are a decent side, right? Some might turn around and say, you know, there's like second-tier nation or whatever, but they are a decent side. But they make freaking stupid decisions at the bloody wrong times, and it's just like, you know, that throwing a freaking tail ball 5 meters out, man. That
could be, look, that could be coached. All right, that could be coached.
It's been since freaking 2015 World Cup.
Yeah, well, they're obviously a bit slow in Scotland, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Right.
Anyway, moving on.
Let's not move on.
No. Julian said something earlier. It triggered my brain. You know, if anybody's going to be fucking turning around and say impressed in defence, Ireland have the ball. England, we just won't put anybody in and we'll just build a wall. England, I'm sorry to say this, and it is hard for me to say, but fucking defensively, they were awesome on Saturday.
Did you see the stats? The England stats versus Ireland stats?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Frightening, right? So Ireland had something like 61% possession.
Yeah.
Right? Their tackles were loads lower than England. England's best attacking option was to give Ireland the ball.
Yeah, exactly. England. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right though, because the way that England were playing it is like what the All Blacks used to do. Seriously, it's exactly the same way as what the All Blacks used to do. They put but one man in a tackle, and they wouldn't put anybody in for trying to freaking turn it over and that. They'd wait for freaking mistakes from the team and then go counter attack. And that's exactly what England did. They played a freaking perfectly defensive game.
Yeah, but the opening, right, is that, I mean,
what was worrying was that freaking Ireland couldn't freaking figure out what to do.
Well, my thing about it all is that I think we've gone 10, 15 years backwards this weekend of how much kicking there is.
Oh.
Well, do you know how many times people have said, "Oh, we've done the stats, and the team that kicks the most wins the most games"? I've heard that so many times this weekend.
I don't agree with that. I think it's a lot of nonsense.
Dylan Hartley was going, yeah, the kicking game is more important. This is Dylan Hartley. He's the one that like runs it up, and he's the one that's supposed to be doing this and all this, like, etc. Why can't the thing about now is that there is no flair anymore in this game. It's about
too easily.
There is no flair. I mean, like, you look at
it's about
Sam,
winning, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, but fine margins. But there's no flair. You look. I mean, I would love to see the Fijian team in this because they chuck the ball around. They do bits. They've got individual skill. They've got this. They take it. They do different stuff. You know. And
this is why the Northern Hemisphere teams struggle against the Southern Hemisphere teams, because they play rugby properly.
Do you know what? It would be wonderful. I think. I mean, Georgia has almost demolished game plans so far. Yes, they've lost, but they have completely demolished the opposition's game plan. But Fiji would demolish a game plan and then demolish your team, and that's the difference. Now, Pete, I do need your Strictly Come Rugby score for England, as you're representing England tonight. So, out of 10, what would you give England?
Defensively, 10.
Oh, massive.
But overall, an 8.
An 8. He's like Bruno Togliani, aren't you, mate?
It's only because
You've got to be very, very animated.
It's only because they look. I mean, like, if you just think about it, it was a turnover ball and May's touch of class. It was an absolute fantastic try.
Yeah.
All right.
I actually missed the try.
That was awesome. That was incredible.
But it was awesome. But it was a bit of individual skill. Now he's got flair. All right. He's got a bit of flair and a bit of nous about him. That's it. If you took that bit away, probably lost the game.
That was what, 36 seconds out of 80 minutes.
Yeah. And there was
when you look at it like that, that's quite poor.
Hold on, our guest wants to speak. Shut up, Mike.
Sorry, I said, did you hear Sam Warburton? He was explaining why everyone kicks so much. Because he said he gets asked about it all the time. And it's the same kind of thing, that it's an efficient way of winning, because you can spend all these phases, 20, 30, 40 phases and however long, trying to truck it up and run it, because there's less space on the field. Whereas you can, if your kick chase is effective and you kick downfield, or you force the opposition in and put the pressure on, and you have a defence like England's, that's what wins. And as you were saying, they've become obsessed with winning. Fiji don't care really. They want to win, but they play for the love, and that's the difference. I think that I think there has to be some changes soon to the way we play this game too. Because look, if you're Amazon, right, are you going to go in for bidding now for the Prem or the Six Nations after this shit? You've had Fiji, the players can't stay in a fucking bubble. Unacceptable. How unprofessional. It's ridiculous.
Didn't that happen to the Lions though? Let's face sorry, the Barbars.
Yeah, and exactly. Again, unacceptable. They're fucking professional sportsmen. It's ridiculous. And they're not going to. We're all saying about, we need more money. It deserves more money. It's a bigger sport. 4 tries in a weekend, some turgid games, 1 or 2 flashes of brilliance. It's not enough for a highlight reel. You look at the marketing that needs to be done for this game. Look how the NBA and the NFL do it, and whether you like it or not, that's what puts bums on seats. What gets people on Instagram talking about your product. We don't have that. We need less. We need less space. Less defenders. We need more people on the floor. We need less subs. Less kicking. We need more space that encourages more passing. They're kicking because at the moment that's the way to win. So you can't win.
No, Phil. We talked with Bill Beaumont about this, didn't we? Last month on another show, and we talked about what he wants in terms of trying to change the game. Based on what Bill said to you on that night and your own thoughts, what can be done?
So the first thing I want to do is thank you for bringing on a person who actually wants to talk.
Yeah, do you know what? I've not understood a word he said for the last 12 minutes, but I'm just nodding in the right places.
Yeah. So what Bill Beaumont was stating was the shape of the game has been altered, has entirely altered, because the substitutions now, it's all about performance. So, when you get into the 55 to 60 minute, they immediately replace somebody who's maybe faltering off in a performance component and bring in somebody so that the game remains at that level. And so you're not taking advantage of the person who is, not as fit or is worn down because of the number of tackles that person has to make or number of scrummages. So what I find very interesting about this whole conversation, isn't that what sevens is actually changing in the game of rugby, hypothetically, compared to 15s? 15s has become a very boring sport, particularly, like Sam was saying, in the Northern Hemisphere. The Aotearoa down in New Zealand was phenomenal rugby. There was only rugby that was happening all summer long, but it was great rugby to watch because, there was some kicking involved, but really it was creating the overloads, creating the space, that kind of thing. So I'm really interested in this whole conversation because the game has modified itself to become even less appealing to new people unless you're involved in a sevens component, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now, when you look at that, take that now to cricket. So purists of the game, my father-in-law in particular, would say that 5-day test cricket, even though you play a game for 5 days, it still ends in a fucking draw. I don't get that at all. That's the purest form of the game. but the most entertaining, the one that drives the most T20, the one that drives the most TV audiences, the one that gets people on the bums on seats in the stadium, that's T20. And I see that Sevens has done that to rugby, and I think that okay, I think they've improved sort of right as we move forward, but England's decision to, and then followed by others, to just scrap the Sevens programme en masse at the beginning of the COVID crisis was an absolute tragedy. That's the way forward to keep this game fresh and exciting. That's exactly why Sevens rugby's in the Olympics and 15s isn't.
So if I could actually go back to something, and it was probably Tom who mentioned it, because the rest of the people on here are just
shit.
But look, you guys are great. I'm just busting your chops. It's one of those things.
Tom doesn't look excited by your flattery. Tom, be excited by Phil's flattery.
They're not on the screen anyways, right? No,
yeah, he is. He is.
What's happening is this, is that if the game is really, truly professional, and you guys can help me out understanding how it works in let's say Europe as an example. But over here in a sport that is not rugby, let's say hockey, basketball, football, American football, etc., every one of those players are incentivized based on their own performance. They're incentivized, whether it's the number of tackles, whether it's the number of points, number of yards gained, those kinds of things, whatever it is, right? So you got to ask yourself, if they want to improve individual performance in a team environment, how do you go about doing that in a game of rugby? And I'm going to say it's going to be very challenging, because it gets away from this freaking screen is bouncing all over the place.
I've just spotlighted you.
It gets away from the purest view of the game, because what ends up happening is, if we become more centric and focus on individual performance in order to create score, that's where the pressure was put on the referees. I'm going to bring this full circle. The pressure was put on referees about 10, 12 years ago about opening the game up, being less pedantic around the breakdown, trying to make the ball more readily available. But if you watch the Northern Hemisphere games, and I'm talking about the ones out of the Premiership or these Amazon thing, nobody's going to be interested in watching that, because all they do is sit with the ball at the back of a breakdown for 5 or 10 seconds till the referee says use it. And then next thing you know, they got to kick it away, which everybody's expecting to do. And it becomes such a boring game to watch.
Well, maybe next week we'll talk about that, the caterpillar ruck, which, in my opinion, everybody who's part of it should be shot from the stands. And when we only have 4 people left on the pitch, you might get a decent game. Now, we've only got a couple of minutes to go tonight, but the yellow card at the week. Hello, Julian's children. Say hello, Julian's children.
He's got his headphones on. He just keep on dancing and then run off.
Isn't this a wonderfully professional show? Tom would never produce anything quite this bad. Look, he's here again, mate.
Guest appearance.
This is where Dad wants to slap the child, but knows that he can't do it on camera.
Yeah, he just told the kid to bugger off, and he had his headphone on.
I've got a slap though.
You get a slap, yeah. You can't retaliate. Imagine the social services now if you did. Anyway, now the yellow card.
What yellow card?
It was yellow.
Okay,
it was never a yellow card.
Sam, talk about it.
It was never a yellow card. It should have been red.
Oh, so I thought you were going to go, it was never a yellow card, it should have just been penalty only.
No. It should have been red.
Okay, hands up for red. Okay, hands up for penalty only. Hands up for play on. And hands up for yellow card.
Right,
and Tom, you only get a sore arse if you sit on the fence.
I didn't see it. I don't know. Was it the Scotland France game?
Oh, it was a Wales game.
Wales game.
The Georgian number 5 smacked this Welsh player right in the clean in the face as he went going down.
A proper forearm to the jaw.
Proper forearms.
Oh yeah, no, I did see that. So I was watching the game in fits and bursts.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Call it.
So you're the casting vote. Are you red or yellow?
Meat red.
Would you like to see the video first, Tom, or are we just not bothering with that?
No, I said he saw it, you muppet.
No,
Well,
see it.
do you know, we might discuss it with clips next week, but right now, hashtag you heard it here first. Tom's casting vote said it was red. Everybody else is wrong. On that note, it's good night from me. It's good night from the 22. It's good night from Tom. And Tom, you can become, I know you're not a referee, mate, but you can become a member of the 22 because you talk rugby. And that's what we're sadly missing.